Well, we should be live now, Mark.
Yes.
Let's see if we've got some. Yes, we have a number of people here. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. And we have a lot of people registered, so I think we'll give it a few minutes anyway, and we'll get going. We have a full hour here if we need it. I'm Jim Stewart. That's Mark Barnett, my co-host. And you see Peter Taylor, our illustrious speaker. This will be recorded, and I believe it's broadcasting live on YouTube, but don't quote me on that.
On YouTube.
You're here, so you don't necessarily need that. So we'll give it a minute or two. I'm seeing the participant list, people coming in. Let's see if I have the Mark. I'm looking for the chat button on my side. Oh, here it is. Converse with the host, speakers, and organizer. That's not the one I want. Direct messages. Yeah, I'm not really seeing that, Mark. I'm seeing direct speaker chat, but I'm looking for the chat. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks if you do that. So, folks, as we go along, if you have questions, and I'll repeat this before we start, you can chat this. Easier than bringing you up on stage and having you speak. You can chat them, and I'll field them over to Peter, probably more at the end than at the beginning. But if something needs clarification, we'll ask Peter for that. About 11:02 here, Mark. Do you want to? Should we start up? You want to give it one more minute?
Yeah. Let's go for it.
Okay. So again, welcome everybody. We have this is our typically every other month digital transformation series. You're here with Jim Stewart. I'm in the greater Boston area, project manager, agile coach. Mark is down in beautiful Jamaica, and he's our host. And Peter Taylor is somewhere in England. I'll let him speak about where he is shortly. And he's going to speak. I'm going to let Peter introduce himself. But Peter is if you see on the left there, the lazy project manager. I bet a lot of us became familiar with Peter because of that book. I know I did. And intrigued, I got in touch with him also through a colleague of mine for whom I'm writing a book, and he with whom I'm writing a book. And Peter was kind enough to write a forward. Peter tells me just before we got on, he's written upwards of 29 or 30 books, and he's a guy that knows something, and he runs a PMO, and it tells me he has, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, 150 project managers around the world.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so without further ado, I'll let Peter roll with this, send questions via chat, and take it away, Peter.
All right, thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, yeah, this is me. If you want all the boring stuff behind it, so yeah, in the essence, I'm a project manager. That's the most important thing, I think, and I've been a project manager for many years. I've been very fortunate in the last 15 or so years to head up some very significant PMOs for organizations like Siemens, IBM, and UKG, or what was Kronos. And now actually I'm head of or VP of global PMO for a company called Readiness, which is human capital management. And as Jim said, that means that I kind of oversee a vast community of project managers, about 150 or so around the world, as well as my core PMO team of 15 people. And they are leading hundreds and hundreds of projects around the world. And it's a fantastic job to have, and I love it. It's just so engaging, and it's such a learning experience every single day. But I did write a book. I wanted to start doing some speaking. Jim and I were just chatting about this before we started. I went to a particular conference, and I was less than impressed with the speakers. And being a bit younger and having that kind of ego, I thought, well, I could do better than that probably. But then someone said, well, you've got to have something to talk about. And it's really good if you have a book. And I had this general idea about efficiency and effectiveness and working smarter, not harder. That's the essence of the lazy project manager. And so I wrote this book, and I wrote the book very quickly, and I had a lot of fun writing it, and I was just astonished. It was has been a huge success. So it's about 11 years old now, and it's still selling. It was that was an Amazon #1 bestseller a couple of times. It still sells, but it's given me the platform to do two things. One, to continue to write books, and I've written books along many topics, including the one we're going to cover today, which is AI and the project manager, how the rise of artificial intelligence will change your world. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But it's also given me a chance to speak at many conferences and business events. As you can see, 450 of that. It's nearly 480 actually. It will be by the end of this year in 25 countries. So it's been an amazing experience. But why AI and why did I want to write and talk about this? The key for me is that I was beginning to look at, as you can see, one of my roles up there, apart from the PMO head, is executive advisor for a company called Perflow. Perflow is a startup organization. I've been working with them for nearly 3 years now. They are looking at team analytics and team management using artificial intelligence. And it was through this, and they brought me in because of my project management experience, not because I knew anything about AI. And I still don't know that much about AI at all. But the point about it is that it awoke my mind about what is coming towards the world of project management. And I was concerned that I wasn't seeing anybody talk about it. There was a couple of people, and I just wrote the book and started presenting, the presentation you're going to see today, just to inspire people to start talking about this, because it's going to be a biggie, I believe, and we should be talking about it. We should be getting ready for it. So that's me. I would like to point out that I am a certified human. So you're not talking to any AI chatbot or anything like that. It's a real person here. And you can check me out. You can see me on LinkedIn. It's in the chat as well. So please do connect to me on LinkedIn. That would be amazing. Right. Look, huge amount of stuff is going on, and you can go and find stuff like this out there. So we look at some of the big headlines when we're talking about artificial intelligence. You can see one there for Gartner. Gartner is saying that there's 2.3 million jobs will be created with a $2.9 trillion business value. Now, the background behind that really is obviously AI will also lose jobs. It will replace jobs. It will replace tasks and activities. But what Gartner is saying is their estimate is that whilst there will be 1.8 million jobs lost, it will actually create more jobs that are being lost, which I think is a very comforting factor in that one. The Google CEO said, one of the most important things humanity is working on. You don't get bigger than that, I guess. Profound was the words he was using. He was saying it was, it's bigger the potential than electricity or fire. AI is incredibly influential and powerful. Well, it certainly will be in the future. And Forbes stated that AI, with its unique ability to monitor patterns tirelessly, relentlessly, constantly, it will become an incredibly powerful assistant in whatever you're doing. In our world, it would be an assistant to project managers. And studies have shown that project managers spend more than half their time on admin type tasks. Massive thing. And so the argument here is that this will deliver huge savings in time, spotting and anticipating errors and so forth. So great stuff coming. This was amazing. This is part of a Gartner report on how AI will reinvent program and portfolio management. Definitely worth a read. I totally recommend this one. But this is a headline, isn't it? By 2030, and look, it's nearly at the end of 2022 already. Yeah, it'll be 2023 in just a few short weeks, really. But by 2030, 80% of the work of today's project management discipline will be eliminated as AI takes on functions such as data collection, tracking, and reporting. 80% of what we do today will be replaced by AI. Now that could be pretty scary if you think about it. And that triggered me to kind of explore it a little bit more, because if that's the case, what are we going to do as project managers? And I still consider myself a project manager. What are we going to do if AI just takes us over? How are we going to deal with this massive change? Right. I want to have some fun here. I want to be interactive. I don't want just me sitting here in the UK. And Jim asked me where I was. I'm about 40 miles west of London, near a place called Sandhurst, which is where the Royal Military Academy is. That's very famous, most famous thing there. About 20 minutes away from Windsor Castle, etc. But I want to interact. Okay, so please join me on Menti. All you've got to do is scan the QR code, or just type in menti.com. And once you've done that, just enter that code 12875189. If you do that, you can join in. And Menti is brilliant. I love it. I've used it a lot. I can see there's the first person. I can see them coming in now. It's fantastic. Thank you for joining me. Well, lots more people to join. We're going to have a couple of warm-up questions, and then we're going to get on to the real stuff. So, warm-up question number one, just tell me your name. What is your name? You can see this. If you're typically people do this on a mobile device. Thomas, are you stalking me, my friend? Are you stalking me? Yeah, it's Kelly's on there as well. Keisha, Gaurav, Zubair, Sarah, Nick, Jimbo. Brilliant. Keep coming on. Want more people? Want lots more people on this one, because I think it's really important that we get some kind of insight from people as they kind of share their thoughts. So that's your name. You can join anytime you like, so don't be shy. Tell me. Oh, there we go. Tell me what your role is. So just again to understand, are you a project manager? Are you a digital project manager? Are you program manager, PMO, head of PMO, portfolio trainer, sponsor, some other role? As you can see here, Menti, neat little tool, instant visuals. And what you get at the end, it doesn't store any of your data, but at the end of it, we get an output, which is high definition graphics of all these polls that we're running. And so that's great. All right. So majority of project managers, a couple of program managers, a couple of heads of PMO, possibly the best job in the world, PMO team member, future PMO leader, no doubt, consultant, and one other. Thank you. Look, what do you think about artificial intelligence? Is this your immediate image? Is this your first thing you think of? Is this what you begin with? The good old Skynet and the kind of Terminator, I'll be back, Arnie, all the rest of it. The variable series of the Terminator films, some good ones, some not so good ones. But is this your immediate thought? It tends to be with a lot of people that if you think about the future and AI, artificial intelligence, which leads on to robotics, to the rest of it, this is an embedded image that we often have, and it's something we kind of need to get away from to start with. So to begin the whole process, I'd like you to tell me, how do you feel about artificial intelligence and project management right now? Are you excited? Are you cautious, neutral, concerned, worried, bored? It's possible you may not be bored already, I think, hopefully not. But what are you saying? Let's have a look. Here we go. All right. A couple of people excited, a couple of people are cautious. Nothing wrong with that.
Peter, excuse me for a second. Is the code still available? Some don't still have that. Is it still there?
It's right at the top of the screen there. 12875189. It's right at the top of the screen there.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Our screen?
Yeah, it should be. You should see it on top of the slide itself.
Oh, there it is. Gotcha.
I
got you. Thank you.
No problem. All right. We're beginning to see quite a few boats coming in, so thanks for that. As I said, you can join anytime. If you haven't joined the Menti, all you do is go to menti.com and you put in that code. It's a unique code. It lasts for a couple of days or until the presentation finishes. And then that's it. So, all right, excellent. So 4 of you are excited. Nice. 2 of you are cautious. Understandable. 1 neutral. Also understandable. A couple of you concerned. I hope to address that. And 1 person is worried. And again, I hope to be able to address that as well. So that's what we got at the moment. The problem is AI. Beautiful. 2 letters put together. The perfect acronym, perhaps. But it is very, very complicated. There are many dimensions to it. Something I learned when I wrote the book itself, because I had a view of what artificial intelligence was, but then I didn't realize about narrow and wide artificial intelligence and all the rest of it. So I'm speaking today, as I said, I am not an AI expert. Please don't consider me one, or even tell people I am one. But what I have learned by reading and talking to people, and then looking at how we focus this on the world of project management, is what I'm talking about. And I want to give you some examples to begin with. A couple of examples that just show you where we are. Now, I said earlier on about the major change that's coming our way. The 2030, 80% of what we do as project managers will be done by artificial intelligence. It's accelerating and growing at an incredible pace. But it's not quite there yet. Now, two stories or two examples here. The first one, the Patent Office. The Patent Office is you can't really find out, but there is an argument that says the British Patent Office is the largest continuous patent tradition in the world, tracing back to the 15th century. So quite a long way back. There's a couple of arguments about some other patent type offices that may have existed about the same time. But all right, the Patent Office in the UK, very, very old. It handles patents, it handles designs, it handles copyright, it handles trademarks. It's a way of protecting, isn't it? I mean, if you create something, if you invent something, if you design something, you want to protect it so that it's yours and you benefit from that intellectual property that you own. And that's how you go through the whole Patent Office and so forth. So the Patent Office had quite recently had a thing called the Davis hearing. It was run by the Intellectual Property Office, which is part of the UK Patent Office, and it was driven by the fact that there was an application for 2 new patents that had the submission asserted that an AI machine named Dabus, that's Dabus, had actually invented 2 things. All right, so this is a machine, AI, artificial intelligence, had actually invented something brand new, not been done beforehand, which immediately raised the issue of inventorship and ownership. And the hearing went into some long thoughts about this, very considered, but they concluded that at this point in time, a non-human inventor cannot be regarded as an inventor under the Act that supports all this. So what they said was, okay, we hear what you say, we hear the submission, but the actual point at this time is no, we do not accept that. We do not accept that AI independently created something or invented something. We reject it. However, they immediately started a hearing which looked into this as a very near future possibility. So one, they rejected it, but secondly, they said, this is something we're going to have to deal with. It's coming. And so there is currently ongoing a piece of work around this that's looking at how this will be handled. And I'm sure that's being replicated around the world, accepting that at some point in the very near future, AI will invent something, just as humans have invented it, things in the past. So there's the first thing. Wow, that's very close. That's very exciting. Maybe it's a little bit scary, but it's happening. On the other hand, and I take you over to the other image on here of the fish. AI is a bit weird as well at the time, and so if you're afraid of the whole Terminator, if you're afraid of robots taking over the world, or even just replacing you as a project manager, then check out. There's a TED talk by we all love TED talks. There's a lady called Janelle Shane, and she talks about how weird AI is, and she discusses how one AI program thinks or came up with a conclusion after being given thousands and thousands and thousands of images, came up with the conclusion that human fingers are part of a fish. So fish have fingers, literally. We all talk about fish fingers as kids, but AI concluded that this was the case, that human fingers are part of a fish, because it mainly sees, when it was presented, it mainly sees pictures of people fishermen holding fish like that, with their hands around the fish, or fishmongers working with fish, or fishermen working with fish. It's all very much hands-on. And so the conclusion that AI reached at that point in time was, you know what? Fish actually have fingers. So there's a contrast, if you like, between the work in the Patent Office, the expectation, the preparation for the very near future, and the fact AI is still on a learning curve, but learning very, very fast. Here's another kind of slightly more humorous example, if you like. This is Robbie. Now, Robbie is my automated RoboVac, automatic Hoover, if you like. We still use that term. Robbie is just down here next to me in my office. Robbie's asleep, but Robbie will wake up in the early hours of the morning, and Robbie will go on a journey around the ground floor of the house. To be fair, it hasn't learned to climb the stairs yet. If you want to do upstairs, we have to carry Robbie upstairs and set it in motion. But Robbie can be controlled automatically, or it can be controlled from my phone. And it has a tiny little part of AI in it, because one of the things it does when it first kicks off is it begins to map the territory it has to deal with. And if you think about your house, how many obstacles are there? How many difficult surfaces are there for this thing to try and go round? I mean, I look at my office right now. I have a chair with 4 legs, a stool with 4 legs, a swivel chair I'm sitting on with 4 legs. I presume, yes, a table with 4 legs as well. There's things on the floor. There's my cases. There's a flip chart over there you can't see. That's just one room. Now expand that across the whole ground floor. There's a lot to deal with, and some of it changes. Some of it changes as we move things around, as we leave things. So Robbie is brilliant. We love Robbie. Robbie is a member of the family now. Even the cats we have accepted Robbie. They weren't too keen to start with, but they understand it's not going to steal their food or anything like that. But Robbie, in the early days, we had some problems. So I think in about the first week on the left-hand side there, that Robbie tried to eat its own power cable. Now, that wasn't so good for it, and caused some problems. And when Robbie's in trouble, I get alerts on my phone. And I woke up one morning to get all this list of alerts, and things have already gone very badly wrong there. Now, we've got an alert, and I've started to set up the power cable and the docking station a little bit better, because at the end of the clean cycle, Robbie will navigate its way back to the docking station to be recharged for another day. Of course, the other picture is more of a human error, really, in the sense that my wife likes to knit, and she just went to bed one night and left her knitting on the floor, and didn't even think about Robbie, and Robbie attempted to undo the knitting she completed the night before. Again, bit of learning on both sides here, but once Robbie got the hang of what was going on, and once we learned to work with Robbie as well, not cause problems to Robbie, then life got a lot better. I mentioned the cats earlier. I mean, the other problem we had with Robbie was the cats had decided to bring in something pretty nasty from the garden that they caught and leave around, and Robbie was desperately trying to clear this up, and it wasn't very pleasant. So not nice for anybody. But you know what? These things are getting better. I've just looked at the new generation of this RoboVac, and it's phenomenal what it can do, the way it can track, map, and you can guide it, and you can give it indications to go and clean corners or the edges of carpets or anything like that. It's getting so much better. But AI is, as I said, complicated. And I've given you a couple of examples and a bit of humorous as well. I like to do that. All right. There's another document, AI will transform project management. Are you ready? This is PricewaterhouseCoopers back in 2018, but I think it's still, again, a valuable read, and I think there is an updated version out there as well, which is coming out shortly. But I liked this. In fact, it broke it down into what artificial intelligence and project management kind of meant. It talks about the 4 stages or the 4 phases. The first is integration and automation. So this is, for example, a project planning enabled auto scheduling by means of programming logic and rules. You kind of set it up, and then it automatically tracks the progress and status of tasks performed by team members and resources, and it only alerts you as a project manager when there is intervention required. So it's kind of like AI empowered, management by exception type approach. If there's a problem it thinks you should be dealing with, it will contact you, alert you. If there's no problem, exactly. A bit like, to a degree, like Robbie, in the sense that Robbie goes off and cleans the house, and probably 29 days a month, I will not hear anything from Robbie apart from when it tells me it needs emptying. But on the one day when we leave something lying around, or it hits a problem, or sometimes it gets stuck in a corner, I must admit as well, it gets a little bit confused and drops power. But that's it. It's alerts by exception. So I don't have to worry about it normally until it tells me that it needs me to get involved. Brilliant. Love it. The second is chatbot assistance. And It's to be really, it's probably the thing that we know best, because if you've ever been, shopping on Amazon, you've had a problem, for example, and you try and resolve it, you will deal with a chatbot, and it's very, very impressive. I don't think I've never had to deal with a human on any issue I've had with Amazon, for example. And I'll be honest, I haven't had many problems, but when I have, it has always been resolved very rapidly, and I know I'm talking to a chatbot. Other support calls are very similar, that you get a chatbot up to a point and then you switch across to a human if your issue cannot be resolved. So chatbots serving as kind of project assistants, they're kind of considered the second phase in the evolution of AI in project management. Bots will take on a role in human computer interaction. They can take over the menial tasks such as organizing meetings or planning versus progress, reminding project team members, etc. Example here, it's not quite a kind of a chat bot, but it is that kind of team analytics I mentioned that Company Profile is working with. Part of that is that kind of prompt conversations that are going on, saying, okay, this is interesting, just learn this about the team, maybe you should think of doing this, and maybe you should intervene. The the third phase is machine learning, and I think this is where the real power is. This is where the significant change is going to come about. It enables predictive and analytics. It enables providing advice to the project manager. A simple example that I can share is some technologies out there that will become an extra team member to your meetings, for example. It's a company called Assembly AI. We're evaluating it right now. And what it does is it joins the meeting, and it's not transcription. I know there are other transcription tools out there, but what it does, it monitors the conversation, and it creates summaries. It creates minutes if you want minutes as well. You can put keywords in, and it will trigger a structure of the output. And this is all based around machine learning capability. It is constantly learning and becoming more and more efficient as time goes on. And I'm evaluating right now because, as I said, think about 150 project managers. They're all running multiple projects, or most of them are running multiple projects. Some are running big programs. How many project meetings they have on an annual basis? If you look at research, it says that you're going to be in meetings for possibly up to 50% of your time of some form, and you need to produce output, documented output. If that can all be reduced and time saved, and it's instant at the end of a meeting, incredibly powerful. And the first stage there is autonomous project management. What we probably know about this is the self-driving cars. And autonomous project management will only need limited input and intervention from a human project manager. There are currently no real-life issues or cases around this. This is future state. I guess it will come. I mean, I talk about multiple layers or multiple types of projects. So I think there are projects, big, hairy, scary, chunky stuff that it's going to be run by a human. There's no doubt about that. But there's a lot of what I can refer to as projects as usual. This is the run-of-the-mill, smaller, simpler stuff. Maybe that will be run by autonomous project management in the future. So I want to come back to you guys. Who's using any tool or technology now that is in some way AI powered in the world of project management? And yes, no, don't know. Don't know is a very valid answer in this case, because you don't know necessarily the tools you're using. You don't know what sits behind it, do you? So let's just see what people think. Pretty even at the moment between yeses and nos. Any more people? So yeah, please do join in. If you haven't joined in already, if you just joined the call or whatever, look, the conference end, please just go to menti.com, put that code in. It'll bring you into the right place, and you can join in the polls that are running. Okay, so what we're seeing is that most of you know, just the 6 of you, 5 of you are saying yes, which is quite high. So that's really interesting. I know it's growing, which is fantastic. And 1 of you don't know. Absolutely understand that. All right. So the second question really is focused on if you are using any AI tool technology, and could you identify, what category you think this is? Is it integration, automation? Is it chatbots? Is it machine learning? You could be humorous and put autonomous project manager. Usually someone does, even though that doesn't exist. Unless you work for some top secret research laboratory that we don't know about, then that would be interesting. All right. Very good. There's the humor. There's the joker. One person is using autonomous project management. Brilliant. Machine learning, a couple of you. Chatbots, quite a few of you. Integration and automation, quite a few. Yeah, it's fairly typical shape of input. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you very much. If you think about it, you can select up to 3 of these, and I'll give you a short time to do that. If you think about AI, where do you think it would be most helpful? You can see the categories there: critical success factors, deliverables, work breakdown structures, scheduling, and so forth. Just, put in 1, 2, or 3, it's up to you, where you feel this could be of most use to you. And I'm going to give that a minute or so, because it's going to be really interesting to see where people think. There's usually a common shape to this when I run this poll with groups, and it's always fascinating to see if the same thing is going to happen on the next call. So this will be fun to look at. All right, so we can around scheduling, absolutely. Budgeting is quite high. Deliverables, resource planning, communication, risks and issue management, yeah. Benefits realization and stakeholder management, a bit lower down. Critical success factors, no. Work breakdown structure, no. Procurement and team building, no. And other, no. Yeah, I put team building in because I'm kind of biased in that favor, that area, because of my work with Perflow, because that is exactly what it's all about, really. Team building, team sentiment, team performance, team analytics, all of that. In fact, that is the book number 30 will be coming out May next year, which is around project team analytics. So I think that's a very exciting area that sits in partnership with AI, but that's fine. So you guys have said, yes, this is not uncommon. It is in the area of the kind of scheduling, budgeting, and resourcing planning that is typically in the most common areas that people believe AI could be most helpful. And it's interesting. I think you all know that the major suppliers of project management technology, PPM tools, whatever you want to call it. Most of the big players are working in that area right now. Some have released some stuff already, but there's a lot more behind the scenes with all of the major players. I think some of the niche players out there are playing in the other areas, and I've mentioned a couple. Perflow in the area of team performance, if you like, team building. In the area of communication, I kind of mentioned Assembly AI, which is all around that kind of auto production of very accurate minutes and output from meetings, for example. My team right now, in fact, one of the projects I have in the PMO right now is there's one guy who's focused on looking into the market for artificial intelligence to understand what's going on and understand and identify technology that we can adopt and that sits on top of or in partnership with our underlying infrastructure of technology. And I'm going to an AI conference in the UK at the end of next month, which is focused on artificial intelligence in business. And again, always looking for what's out there and what's coming towards us and what we can take advantage of. So thank you. Right, the fors and against. I mean, this is kind of the argument about artificial intelligence and project management. I mean, the first argument is project management doesn't need AI. We're doing okay without it. We're doing pretty good without it. There's no doubt about that. But why don't we need it? And excuse me for this one. I just saw this mug and I just thought it was really, really humorous. And I'm not no particular person in mind. It's just quite funny. But if we think about artificial intelligence, I think our resistance to it in the world of project management will be along the lines of 3 areas, I think. More, but I'm going to talk about 3. I think the first one is readiness. It's the project world just isn't ready for this. The project world is not even anywhere near beginning to think about getting ready for this. It's one of the reasons I'm talking about it. A bit of the head in the sand. There is just so many other things going on. On top of which, there's no doubt we are pretty successful when it comes to projects. I know there's a lot of stuff out there about negativity and project failure, and that's a reality. But equally, there is huge success around projects. I mean, it's always easy to go to the world of construction, but some of the things that have been achieved there have been amazing. In the UK, and I don't want to hark on dark times, but the program of developing the vaccinations for COVID, for example, and the program behind it, etc. And I'm not gandering any pros or cons on that, but it was still a phenomenal program of speed and efficiency that delivered that output. So we're doing pretty good with that AI. So why do we need AI? I think the second thing is around leadership. I think there are very few leaders in the project world that are focused on this, and even fewer than within the business world, and that is a problem. I think that is something that's going to slow us down in the world of project management. And that's a concern, because if Gartner are right about 2030, there is so much is coming towards us that's going to just take over what we do. There's a horrible state if we reach a point where we're just not ready for it, and it destabilizes our project world. That's really bad. And then the other one is data. Despite all of our very best intentions, data quality is still extremely variable in organizations. And that's the case. I see it on a daily basis. Project after project after project, we hit issues internally and externally when it comes to data. And AI needs data. AI needs good, accurate data. And I was talking to one person, and when they talk about data, they used the example of, just imagine an autonomous driving vehicle that had highly accurate data of everything that was on its left-hand side of vision, front and back. But on the right-hand side of vision, it was slightly blurred and slightly inaccurate. How safe would that vehicle be? It wouldn't be. So it depends what you're doing, but it does need some degree of data quality. So on that basis, the argument is that AI in project management, we don't need it right now. It's not going to help us. We got problems to solve. We are doing okay generally. We got work to do, and we're skilled professionals. The other one argument is project management does need AI, could definitely benefit from it. And I'm going to use an example, which is the hive mind. The hive mind is the collective connection of intelligence in communities. And the one I love, there was an AI company in the UK that worked with Oxford University. And what they did was they got a whole group of football fans. That's soccer to you guys in America. It's football is the correct term. They got a bunch of football fans in the UK who were fans of the Premier League. The Premier League is arguably the best football league in the world, with some of the greatest players on the planet playing on a weekly basis. And what they got these group of people to do is that they, bear in mind, they followed football, they understood football, they understood teams, they focused on it. They were amateur experts, if you like. And what they got them to do was, over a series of weeks, I think it's 10 weeks it was, they got them to predict the results of Premier League football matches. Now, in any league, barring some real upsets, if the top team is playing the bottom team, the outcome is highly likely to be predictable. In the middle of the table, it's a lot more messy. That's what makes it fun. And then there are the upsets. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, at the end of that first period of time, where they got them as individuals to predict, they produced an accuracy of 52%, I think it was. Now, as I said, these are fans. These are people who follow the game, follow the teams, know the players, know the performers, know the, how they're doing. But they're slightly better than tossing a coin. The second stage of the experiment was they connected all these individual sports fans with on an AI platform. They got them to predict and then collectively predict, and they summated everything, and they produced a single composite projection or forecast over another 10 weeks. And at the end of that period of time, the accuracy had increased to 73%. A huge jump in accuracy. And that is the power of the hive mind. This for me is one of the big things. If AI can deal with all the stuff, actually, I'll be honest with you, that I didn't enjoy too much as a project manager. Boring, repetitive, dull, reporting, analytics, all that kind of stuff. If AI can deal with that and just let me know when I need to get involved, but I get the power of connecting growing communities of project professionals or team members around the world, and I'm sure like me, you're more and more involved in these kind of global projects with virtual resources all around the world, working in different time zones, different cultures. That is a huge benefit. But I do believe that AI asks some really big questions of us as a community, some challenges out there. And these are the big questions. If AI does what it was supposed to do, if AI delivers as Gartner's predicted, does that mean that anyone in the future can do project management? Does it mean that anybody who has no project management background, no project management skill, no project management training can deliver projects successfully relying on artificial intelligence? Interesting one. And I think the answer is possibly, but only in a narrow confine. And this is what I love about this, because this is the source of debate at this point forward. This is just my opinions now. I think there is a small subset of projects that are fairly simplistic, low risk, small scale, small value perhaps, that could be fully automated. And this is the world of the autonomous project manager. In a previous company, we had a program where we brought in graduates from university. We put them into a kind of a hothouse environment, and we got them to remotely manage very small, very simplistic projects on that basis. And generally, it worked really well until there was a problem. When there was a problem, we had to have like a more experienced layer of project managers for them to reference and call out. Because when the thing is following a fairly standard process and everything happens when it's supposed to happen, life's good. But when there's a problem, then you need experience. So I think anything beyond that small niche, if you like, we're still need project managers. That's my view. Do we care about certifications? Again, this is $1 billion industry out there with a lot of certifications going on. I'm certified. I encourage my project managers to be certified as well. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, I guess it's linked to the first one. Is if more and more people can manage projects with less and less depth of their personal knowledge, skills or experience, supported by a powerful, ever-learning AI assistant, what value do certifications have in the future? And I think my view is it's going to change. It's going to adjust itself, and the certification parameters will change. That's my view. The next question is methodology history? Is the guidance of how we go about doing projects history? Do we not need it anymore? Is it the fact that the AI, which is guide us, this is what's happening next, and this is what I need you to do next? Almost like, I guess this is where we worry about perhaps the AI will lead the project and we will become the project assistant. Something to consider, something to debate, something to discuss. Linked to that really is, does that mean it's the end of bodies of knowledge? Huge amount of work has been going on around the world to create bodies of knowledge, to give us that guidance. Those bodies of knowledge often feed into methodologies. Will there just be some great big body of knowledge in the cloud somewhere that all AI technology would draw upon? Maybe that's the utopian future. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Again, I'm just positioning these questions. When I completed writing the book, these are the questions that came to me that said, well, if everything happens I've talked about and read about and researched about, if this comes about, what if? And this is where I ended up with these 5 questions. And the final one is, will we all become devalued as a result of everything above? If AI is the main player here, will we just become devalued? If in many organizations, project management is now a recognized role that is respected, that is understood a lot more than it was when I first started, certainly, and has that degree of authority inside of organizations. Will AI completely blow that out of the water? discuss amongst yourselves. I like this. Mark Lamont, who wrote about this, and I know he's going to be speaking at the PMI Global Summit in Las Vegas that I'm also speaking at. So I'm really hoping to be able to meet Mark and talk to him. But what he said in the PwC article, it was very powerful. He said, in the midst of this evolution, it's important to remember there is something that AI cannot do, and it cannot be human. It can't be human. So my key learning points, I think my personally, and you feel free to argue me. I think the important thing here is the debate, as I kind of started at the beginning, is AI, I think, is here to stay. That's my belief. It's not going to go away. AI will change the project management role significantly. Therefore, don't fight it. Resistance is useless as far as this is concerned. Embrace it, I believe. AI will aid project managers in many ways. And we've seen it: process automation, integration, chatbots, machine learning, and into the autonomous project management world eventually. But here's the key, I believe. Projects are and have always been about people. AI can't be human. Therefore, I think the key here is to be an amazing human project manager in the AI-empowered world. At the end of a successful project, have you ever heard the sponsor or the project manager heard them thank the methodology? Definitely not. Have you ever heard them thank the reporting process or the escalation path? No, of course not. They thank the people. And I don't believe they will ever thank the AI. They will continue to thank the people in the future. One last time then, based on what I've been able to share with you very briefly, how do you now feel about AI and project management? Are you feeling more or less positive? Have I scared you? Have I worried you? Have you just the same? Have I bored you? It's all possible. More positive. This is good. 4. The same. Nothing wrong with that. You might have been excited to begin with. Who knows? A couple of people are saying more positive. Very nice. Okay. Well, that's encouraging. So thank you for that. One last thing before I go back to Jim and we look for any questions in the last few minutes. I love this analogy. I read something that talked about the term, or used the term, the digital dance. And the way I reflected on this was, if you think about that program, it's Strictly Come Dancing in the UK. It's Dancing with the Stars, I think, in Americas and elsewhere in the world. But if you think about it, you've got a professional dancer that is matched up with an amateur. It's typically someone who hasn't danced. I mean, I know sometimes they have a little bit of background, but in the early stages, it's a little bit difficult. It's a little bit uncomfortable. It's not, true synchronicity or anything like that. But eventually, week after week, they learn to become a seamless partner, and some of them deliver some astonishing professional level dancing at the end of it. It's quite amazing. And I think that's kind of what we have to do as project managers. We have to find our way to partner with the inevitable, the artificial intelligence, accept all the brilliant stuff it's going to do. Because look, as I said, it's going to be non-sleeping, never tiring, constantly monitoring for us beyond anything that we can do, and to bring our human skills to that partnership, and to lead that dance as well. But to become part of that digital dance, I think, is the critical way forward. And that's something that I really look forward to seeing, in the next few years. And as I said, 2030 is not too far away. And on that basis, if you're interested in the book, want to get it from Routledge, the publishers, there's a code there with 20% off. Otherwise, you can get it from Amazon, other providers, etc. But you won't get the 20% discount, I'm afraid. If you want to talk about AI and project management, then you've got my LinkedIn in the chat. You've got my website, lazyprojectmanager.com. But at that point, I'm going to stop. I'm going to go back to that one. And Jim, I'm good for questions if we want to bring some.
Yeah, first, Peter, that was great. Very eye-opening. I know you had previewed it for Mark and I, but that was eye-opening. A question, we've had some chats just to bring that up, people about, humans in this, and humans won't be replaced in this. But a question is, I think will help us all. Don't
Mhm.
you have 150 project managers? This is going to happen by 2030. X will happen. How are you preparing for this? But yeah, if you can, and if you can take that complicated question and do it in a couple minutes, that would be great. What are you doing to prepare for this?
Well, as I said, the one thing we're doing to prepare for it is we're talking about it. The second thing we're doing to prepare for it is I've actually allocated someone an internal project to look at that and uncover what we can do. And we're also piloting a couple of things as well. I think one of the biggest things about demonstrating value is to prove it yourself. It's like we are the guinea pigs, the PMO core team. If we find value in it, if we can prove it, if we can work with it, then it makes a much stronger argument for us to go and present it back to our community. And that's the approach that we're taking.
Okay. And there was a question earlier. Somebody said something like, it'd be great if this was, hang on, Gerald, a second. If this was available in things like Smartsheet and Asana and those.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm bringing the question to the stage.
Okay.
Are you seeing it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go for it.
yeah. You can read it, Jim. It's fine.
Okay.
I brought it to the stage.
Yeah. Okay. So it's right what I just asked. Tie an ML and AI tool into something like Monday, Smartsheet, or Asana. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Have you heard wind of that?
Yeah, happening. I mean, I think it's happening already. The suppliers of this are recognizing there's existing technology. Perflow is a great example because what they're doing is that everything they do is linked to either Teams or Slack. So it's not saying we do not need to integrate with anything. We will use what you've got already. Assembly AI is just audio, and we'll connect. You
Okay.
can be invited to your Teams meeting, your Zoom meeting, or anything else you're doing.
Mhm.
And I think the same is true from all the big players out there within the project management tool and technology world are looking at ways to invite in, if you like, AI. If they're not developing it themselves, they're certainly open to that kind of partnership, of technological partnership.
Okay.
My prediction is there's going to be some big stuff coming out in 2023. A lot of companies have been fairly quiet about it because they want to get it right. But my feeling is that is the case.
Mm-hmm. Mark, are you able to hand over to Gerald as he has a raised hand? Is it possible for you to bring him in, or do you need to chat to us?
Yeah. I'll. Yeah, we can accept. Let's see.
If not, we'll just read that up.
Hello, Gerald.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh, good. Good morning, everyone. Actually, I'm a bit lazy to type. Forgive me for that. Actually, which I shared with Mark before, when I saw the topic about AI and project management, like how AI would basically overthrow project management or project managers, I was a bit discombobulated by this. But however, the final slide you have displayed, Peter, just reassured me that the topic was a bit harsh, but I misunderstood the topic at first. To me, for what I do as a project manager, if AI has to come and then replace me, that means that they don't really understand what I do.
No.
AI cannot come and reason with the sponsors, do leadership. And I am that guy that comes and reason with sponsors. And in any situation, I come to solve problems. AI basically is just, I feel like AI becomes to be, or will be, or is already an auxiliary to help project managers do their job better, like automation. Right. So, I am feeling. Mhm.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think I reflected on this when I started in project management. I had no training. It was many years before I went on any training, and somehow I was moderately successful. And it's because the only thing I knew about was working with people and persuading people to do things and take I wasn't good at it, but that was the only skill I had. I mean, I then learned what I call the mechanics of project management, and that was incredibly valuable. I think AI will allow us to get back to people, and people deliver projects. That's what it's all about. And I think it's about building the teams, connecting people, showing them the vision, showing the kind of leadership, getting them to deliver amazing things. And AI will free us up to be able to do that. So I personally see it as a very, very positive thing.
You're saying it's AI will free us up from doing that? Is that right? Is that what you just said?
I'm saying AI will deal with all the boring stuff we don't want to do that isn't people related, and allow us as project managers to spend our time dealing with people. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely, totally agree. So therefore, that means that we project managers, our job is still secured.
Yeah, absolutely. And the complexities of people, we are complex things, aren't we not? And you put us all in a team, it's an interesting thing. I mean, I also talk about, we all know the team building stages of, forming, storming, norming, performing, the Bruce Tuckman model. But I've always argued that there's another phase which is related to projects, which is disrupting, because you're bringing people into a project constantly. You're constantly bringing people in, letting them go again, because we can't afford to build project teams from day one. Expensive resources that you have to share with other projects. That disruption requires a lot of project management, leadership, and engagement, and connectivity, and time. And I just see that AI will deal with if I'm honest, all the boring stuff that I just never wanted to do anyway.
Thank you, Peter. And I want to say one last thing before I close. I don't want us to make the same mistake that Nimrod. If I have to go back to the scripture, Nimrod did, thinking that he's more smarter than the creator. So AI would never be smarter than human being, because we are the one who creates AI. Thanks for letting me participate in this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
And we have Gaurav for a question.
Thank you, Gerald.
Is he there? He's one of our previous speakers.
Hello, Gaurav.
May have lost him, possibly.
Hi there.
Hi,
Hello,
Peter.
Gaurav.
There he is.
Great to see you.
And then we have Kelly after that.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Peter, my question is around responsible and accountable AI. So, we talked a lot about the AI in the new era. So, when it comes to the role of project manager, see whether it is about creating plans or about estimations. So, in case we are using an AI system, so do you think the responsibility and the accountability shifts from human to the AI system, or it still remains with the human?
Absolutely stays with the human. The AI can't take moral responsibility or emotional responsibility. It has to sit. All of that has to sit with the human still, which is why I think, apart from very simplistic cases, that's why I still believe that there will be a project manager, there'll still be a sponsor, there'll still be a senior reporting officer or whatever, who is basically the human leader of that part of the project.
Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure.
We
I think we've
have
got time for one more.
Kelly. Kelly, let's if you can bring her to the stage, or him. I'm sorry, I don't know, Kelly. One of those names.
Okay. Thanks, Gaurav. Let's bring Kelly. Hello, Kelly.
Hey, I think, can I turn my camera on? I'm not sure. Oh, yeah.
We can hear you.
Hi, Kelly. Hi, Kelly.
Right. Yeah, I'll turn my camera on as well.
Hey.
Peter, I'm just down the road from you in Somerset.
There you go.
Yeah, okay, relatively just down the road from me, but I love Somerset.
Yeah. So I put a question in the chat, and I thought I would explain it a little bit more, because we're almost sort of there to get to machine learning, and my mind is sort of swimming around how we can take that jump from the automation and the chatbot to that machine learning. So I just wanted to throw it out there to see if anyone's got any thoughts, because So for instance, like the person was just talking, the system only works if a human is feeding that information, a bit like what you were saying about the fish.
Yeah.
In those pictures, it only takes a human has to put those pictures onto the internet in the first place, right? AI isn't going out and looking in the sea for fish, right?
No, absolutely not.
So I was just looking at our Power BI dashboard. So we're using Power Apps and obviously so fully integration with Microsoft. So MS approvals, Power Apps, Power BI. And so we've got automation and chatbot. And so for me, my mind is thinking like, how can we make it where we have an issue and the machine, we start recognizing, right, an issue, it opened on this date, it closed on this date. We've got categories and it recognizes that another project had a similar issue and it closed, say, a month earlier, and it saw the mitigation and the resolution, and it sends that information to the other project manager to say, oh, by the way, we resolved this issue a month sooner than yours, or that kind of machine. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, kind of anticipatory guidance. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be fantastic, and that's kind of where you got to have the right technology to be able to do that. We haven't seen that yet. What we have seen is some more simplistic machine learning going on, based on churning through the overall data that we have to identify common patterns of failure or risk or issues and so forth. But I agree with you. I mean, that will, and I think, the hints I'm getting from some of the suppliers are that will come. What you're talking about, it'll come fairly quickly, but they want to get it right. I think this is the key. It's not one of those pieces of functionality, if you like, that you can launch too early, because it can have quite disastrous consequences. So therefore, I think that's why many of the major suppliers, Microsoft, etc., are being a little bit more cautious around that.
Yeah, true. Well, we've used Microsoft, but we've put all our own sort of spiel on it, because it's basically like a sandbox and you picked it up and designed it. But no, it's really interesting stuff. So this is really useful. And I'll obviously get your book and learn more about it.
Well, stay in touch and let me know how you get on. We're not too far down the road, so it's going to be good.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Kelly.
I think we're about at the time, Mark, a little bit after 12. Thanks, Peter, everybody. I guess if there are more questions, Peter, you've generously given your contact information. They can contact you. Get more. One thing about it, if I were to summarize the chat, we've had mixed emotions about it. Some people are like, "Yeah, it's great," but the human factor and where will it really kick in? So there's still some people hearing it, but there's always that concern about where it's going to go. I just thought I'd share that, since we don't have time to bring everybody's issue to the table.
Yeah, that's it. And as I said, I just want to stimulate the debate and the conversation, because I think it's really, really important. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead. We'll wrap up.
Yeah. Thanks again, Peter, for coming out. We really appreciate your amazing presentation. Thanks to our esteemed guests as well. The conversation was great, and the fact that we're having the conversation, it means that we will find some solutions down the road. However, guys, do look out for our next upcoming episode in November. We will be talking to someone from Cora. So do look out for that next episode, guys.
All right, Mark. Guess we're good to go. Thanks, everybody.
I hope.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.